Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Right before you is the riveting story of Alabama native Carlee Russell. And who has not been intrigued by the story of the missing woman who was missing on Thursday, and she showed up 2 days later at her parents' home? Now, this particular story took on the notion that there was a child on the freeway. I believe it was the 59 freeway, a very busy highway. And what's strange about that is no one else reported seeing a child. You would have thought that if there was a missing child or a child on the freeway, that someone would have reported seeing a child on the freeway. It would have been multiple calls coming through. And you would have thought that someone would have stated that their child was missing. But no, that did not happen. And also, what's really strange is that what the police are not saying. She claims that she was abducted, or that is a belief. However, there's no statements out there about a description of the person who abducted Carlee. There's no description of a vehicle that she would have gotten or been forced into. So I find that to be very strange. And you would have thought that on a busy highway like 59, that people would have witnessed it. But we have no witnesses to said abduction, which leads me to believe, and this is what my gut instinct tells me, that this is going to come off as being a hoax. People, be prepared for this. I know that many of you sent your thoughts, your prayers, good wishes, so forth and so on in this particular case. And I know that many of you do not want to believe that you've been duped. However, I do believe that this particular case is going to go that particular route. Because if she was abducted, I would have thought that the police would have issued a description. So this is to warn other people about potential kidnappers who are out there. But before I go on, I want you to hear what her brother had to say about this when she first turned up missing. And it's going to tie into part of my commentary.
My sister, Carlee Russell, is missing. My sister was traveling on I-459 after leaving work here in Hoover, Alabama. She spotted a toddler and she stopped to render aid, as any decent human being with a heart would do. She contacted 911 as she's been taught, and then she spoke with another one of our family members. My family member hears a scream, and then my sister vanishes along with that toddler. Her car and belongings were all left at the scene. We have no idea where she is. This story is not getting the national coverage that it should, and we all know why. But you can help. Like, share, comment. My sister has been missing since July the 13th. There's a $25,000 reward for information that leads to the safe return of my sister, Carlee Russell.
Okay, so you heard what her brother said. And now they're saying that they want the family to have complete privacy. They basically want the public to, people like me, to be quiet about it. Let the investigators do their work. But see, you can't have it both ways. You cannot be telling the public to get involved. If you have any tips or whatever, to contact the police. You cannot tell the public to be vigilant and then want them to be silent. Because I do believe that people have a right to question things. Because let's face it, a lot of things seems off. It seems to be amiss in this particular case. They just don't add up. And I do believe that people have every right to question certain things. So no, we're not going to shut up. We're going to question things. We're going to make videos We want to know what really happened. Now, here's a reporter. I want you to listen to what he has to say about this case.
So you say you have some doubts about this story. Some things don't add up. What stands out to you and why?
Well, there are a lot of issues that are occurring in this story. Number one, being from Central Alabama, there has been no BOLO, no be on the lookout for suspects. And the Hoover Police Department has been very, very, very quiet about this. If there is someone who was abducting women on the side of the road, we would have descriptions. We would know who they were. We would know what kind of cars to look for, because all of us who live in the area were really on pins and needles for the whole weekend.
So how do investigators go about tracking her, do you believe, validating or invalidating the story that she told law enforcement?
Well, one of the things that they have is video. Hoover Police Department released video in reference to where her car stopped, because what do people do when they are not very truthful about events? They forget that there's video camera everywhere. When what they're going to do is they're going to track her cell phone, see where she went. They're going to look at, from what I understand, she was at a local motel, and they're going to pull camera footage from there. They will also ask to speak to people who may be persons of interest, people who may have helped her, people who may have seen her, and her friends and family and close people to her, to see exactly what they say occurred if they saw her that weekend.
Can you tell us a little bit about the mood in Birmingham when this story first broke? Were there a lot of people on edge? What was the sense in the community?
Everyone was on edge. I'm married, and I told my wife, don't stop for anyone who's on the side of the road. Just call 911 or call the emergency helpline. I called my family members and other friends. Make sure you don't stop, because everyone was afraid that there were some kidnappers on the loose. But now that she returned home on her own on Saturday night, and there's been nothing from the police department except a statement where they say they stated she called and said that there was a child on the side of the road. However, this I-459, the interstate, is a very, very heavily traveled interstate, and no one else saw what she claimed to see. So it's a lot of mystery behind this, a lot of tension, and people are actually relieved that she's fine, but really want to know what the whole story is.
So therefore, he was pretty detailed, and you can clearly see that he knows his stuff, and he brought in some very good points. So he has some questions also, like millions of people who have questions about this particular case. Certain things just don't seem right. They just do not add up. And my gut feeling tells me that this is going to go the way and go in the route of it being a hoax. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Sin Beyond and Through with Monty. And I will see you all beyond and through.